Afternoon. 2 videos in one day, I'd never actually there's about 4 or 5 weeks ago, there was a bailiff came round with the letter, with all the money I owed to the council, hand delivered. And this is on top of the guy coming round the other day, or last week even. I'd never mentioned that one, I don't think, because I put that first one on Twitter and it just retweeted and liked and just... So I don't think that ever made it to YouTube. I certainly, just looking through the last few videos I did, I don't think I ever put it up. You see, this is the problem now with these people. Be it council, police, bailiffs, judges. And this is all personal experience, and most of this will be on the channel in one form or another. The problem with these people now is that they've spent so long either breaking the law or twisting it to their advantage. They've forgotten what the law is. They think if they get a guy to come round and hand deliver it and take a wee picture and go, click, oh, I've delivered that, they think that's legally binding. They think then that puts my neck in a noose and I have to pay whatever it is. Especially, if I read it out on YouTube, oh, well, he's definitely got it now. Yeah, that's proof, yeah. And I can guarantee they've been taking these pictures and they're building a little evidence file up, against me. This will be their core evidence, you see. Now, I say this because I've seen it before. Way back in the mist of time, they were still trying to get my mate with the burger van, so they sent someone in undercover, you see. And I believe they may have even have called them Agent X or something on the paperwork. They called them something. It wasn't their real name. So my mate gets through all this stuff through the post, you see. Agent X purchased a bacon roll from this establishment and brought it back to Pathfinder House, the council headquarters, Eagle's Nest, as we like to say. I have put this in the freezer as evidence item 1. And apparently there was a bacon roll in the council freezer. So I'm just waiting to see if they've finished the delivery or not. I don't think they have, which is why I'm doing this now. So this is what I'm saying. They've been taking pictures of my door, you see, as they put the thing through. And that to them is signed and sealed. That's good enough for court's evidence. Yep. Oh, jeez. Right. Sorry about that. So, and as regards, Judge Enright in Peterborough Crown Court, who told me I wasn't allowed to give evidence in court, contact the court or speak to any court employees. And as regards the magistrate, one of the times I was in court for council tax, he intimated if I gave any evidence, I'd be sent to jail. And the sergeant who lost his job as well, the one who kept me in the cells all weekend for questioning the validity of the arrest, and also not identifying myself, of course. And this is the problem. These guys think they could do this because they've spent so long circling around the law, breaking the law. All these bailiffs posting the letters with £75 charges, £275 charges. They're still supposed to speak to someone in the household, but they forget to mention that. But they figured out a long time ago that basically they could just post a letter because at that point people didn't know what was going on. And then people thought they had to pay because they'd posted a letter. Well, no, unfortunately, going back to my original point, posting a letter means sod all, sadly. People who don't put that sort of thing on YouTube can just rip it up and put it in the bin. Because, again, especially in the case of bailiffs, you're actually supposed to talk to someone at the address. And that's just one of many rules they're supposed to follow. They're not supposed to come round before 6 in the morning. They're not supposed to come round after 9 at night. They can't speak to under 18-year-olds. So if an under 18-year-old lets them into the house, that's no, not allowed, etc. and so forth. And as for the police, an interesting point which came up on Twitter today, as I mentioned to someone, because we're talking about how they privatised the courts and the police and everything, and all they do it for is revenue, you see. This big revenue. I was told there was a court, I don't know if this is true or not, I've no reason to doubt the source, but I was told there was a court in Kent, I think it was, it actually has a sign up saying thank you for your custom, or something to that effect, or thanks to our customers or something, because it's all compliance, and it's all revenue raising, and you have to turn up. And hence we go back to May 2 years ago when the police knocked on my door for 27 minutes with a 6-month out-of-date warrant, but I didn't let them in. At the time I didn't know it was 6 months out of date. Well, in fact, they probably never had a warrant, because that's another thing they do, is they like to pretend they've got a warrant, but they haven't. And in my case, actually, they say they don't need a warrant, then they admit they do, then they give you something which doesn't look anything like a warrant as proof. And in the case of them knocking on the door for 27 minutes when I didn't answer, there was a sergeant and an inspector then both lied in 2 parts of the investigation process about the paperwork being out of date and it was the bailiff's responsibility and blah blah blah, despite the fact there was 5 other coppers there who hadn't bothered to check the paperwork. But then I think when it got to the inspector, they had checked the paperwork and they were happy with it, or something. Basically, right, they're all liars. But the reason this is happening is because they've spent so long breaking the law, they just don't know any other way to do it. They've got no clue about common law, other than basically when the police go to court against you, they actually fill in a bit saying, to the best of my knowledge, I have obeyed everything to do with common law. And yet, in numerous cases in the papers, they won't let people in defence use common law. So they know they're lying. They know they're breaking the law with this revenue raising stuff, these privatised courts. So they're setting out to corrupt the system, as it were. And, that's what I'm saying, this is a problem we have. Is it, even if they know they're breaking it, which is probably true in some cases, they just crack on regardless. And they just lie constantly. And there's nothing you can do with that. The system's broken. Anyway,